When you hear the word homesteading, what comes to mind?
Far too often, when people think of homesteading, they romanticize what life is actually like on a homestead. They envision waking up whenever they feel like it, getting fresh eggs from their chickens or ducks, then having a cup of coffee or tea, and just lounging out and watching their animals happily move along the horizon, just enjoying life. There's some truth to this. However, the full truth is that there's good, there's bad, and there's sometimes ugly aspects to homesteading. Wouldn't you agree?
Yep. Let's start with the bad.
The bad. Some of the bad things can include like having to wake up early, like around 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, when you're still tired from yesterday's work of planting, of watering, of moving animals around, of pulling weeds, of chopping wood, and doing so many other things that you were even tired before you did that. So you build on your tiredness. Isn't that right?
Yep.
And let me tell you, also, sometimes dealing with bugs like mosquitoes when you're out working in the garden, that's not fun, is it?
It's not.
Also, starting a homestead from scratch, that can be really tough, right?
Yeah.
So you can lack resources, you can have equipment failures, you can have frustrations of not knowing what to do and when to do it, and even having a lack of help on the farm, on the homestead, can be some of the bad things that just aren't fun on the homestead.
Yep.
Can you think of any other bad things that you have to deal with of living on the homestead?
Going to feed the animals in the rain.
Oh yes.
And put up the ducks in the rain.
Oh yes, having to do chores when it's just not pleasant to do so is some of those things that are the bad. Those are some of the things that you don't think about when you're romanticizing what life will be like on a homestead. You don't envision yourself dripping with rain and you're tired and sometimes bloody from some of the tasks that you did before of going out in the rain, sometimes maybe limping if you got a little injury or something. You're like, oh, I gotta go deal with this animal. That's not quite fun sometimes, is it? Let's move to the ugly next, because there's some ugly aspects of homesteading too. Can you think of some of the ugly things that we've had to deal with, especially here recently? Some of the things that Mommy had to do here recently that were pretty ugly that we both were like, oh.
Oh, do the chicken's foot. Oh.
Yep. If your animals are injured or dealing with diseases, like Lacey dealing with the bumblefoot on the chickens, that was pretty ugly. And when your animals die, that is very ugly and not fun to deal with. And sometimes having your own health issues, like I've had to deal with here recently, and some of you may have as well who are homesteading, of dealing with anxiety and adrenal fatigue and your body just hurting and bleeding like I just said earlier, and it's just not fun to get out there. Sayla, can you think of any other ugly things that we've had to deal with on the farm?
Well, I know one. Whenever my sunflower died.
Yeah, it's always tough when we have crop failures on the farm. That is one of the ugly things too, especially if you're dealing with a whole bunch of a large crop that you're expecting to come, and then bam, a disease or something happens, deer eats it, and you just don't have that crop that you were looking forward to having, right?
Yeah, I was looking forward to have my sunflower bloom, and it just died.
Yep, it happens. I'm sorry. Some of the other ugly things include having to have just a lack of resources, whether it be financially or from equipment standpoint, or even energy and time to put into your homestead and building it the way you want to. That can be so frustrating, and that's at the near the top of my list of having these things in your mind that you want to do on your homestead, but you're just not able to do them yet. So that is part of the ugly. But you know what? And I left the good out for a reason, because there are a lot of good things that can come from having a life on the homestead. Yes, I like to end stories, vlogs, whatever, in a positive note. So the good, because there are a lot of good things that come from having life on a homestead. Can you think of any before I go into them?
I really don't know. Maybe having chicks or something like that. Here's some things that I like about living on a homestead. I like to run around in the grass and roll. And I like how you have trees all around you and not super close neighbors, like nowhere to run or anything. And you have animals that you can play with.
And I really enjoy seeing you and your brothers just outside enjoying nature and connecting with nature. And it's great for me to be able to connect with nature as well, because it's so beneficial that as humans, as people, we connect with the natural earth and the life around us. And it's also given us a chance to connect together as a family. And that was one of my goals in wanting to start a farm and wanting to start a homestead, was live a life that we could live on a homestead and we could work together, connect together, work on projects where we're growing and building our family together, and at the same time be able to enjoy the fruits of our labor. That we're able to enjoy the produce that is out in the farm and in the garden, bring it in, eat it and enjoy it, knowing that we're providing the best food that we can for us as a family, but also to be able to provide the abundance, the extra, to our customers and to those in need when we're able to do that, right? Isn't that neat to be able to serve people, to serve one another with produce that we have put our work and our labor into? That's pretty neat, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's also really neat when I can just stop and look and seeing my family together on the homestead. It's just neat that we are able to do that. And I know not everyone has a family that they're homesteading with, but to be able to connect with people and not just be a homestead where we're just doing things all by ourselves, but to raise a community, even if it's a micro community, together. And one of the other things, and it's all part of the family relationship, is being able to be alongside Sayla and do things like this, but to be alongside each other, and whether we're working on a project, to also pass on lessons and knowledge and learn things together, but also to be able to pass things on that I have learned, to be able to share those with you and your brothers. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, that's it. That gives you the full spectrum of what life is like on the homestead. It gives you a balanced view, so hopefully you're no longer romanticizing about life on a homestead. We would like to thank Rose at Wholesome Roots for inviting us to be a part of this collaboration of the good, the bad, and the ugly aspects of homesteading. That's it for today. We'll see you next time. Grow on.
Thanks for watching.
Feel free to leave a comment below, even if it's just to say, hey. Also, make sure you don't miss any of our new videos. So, subscribe and sign up to receive notifications each time we release a new video. Also, you may want to check out these videos right here. And also check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. See you next time.